couple things that's really important. And why are we talking about college right now in January? Is because it's never too soon to start planning. The seniors on this group know that their time has been going quick, and they may have a lot of questions. They're not in school right now, or they may be in school. It's been a little crazy. And so we want to be able to be a resource to you if you do have some questions, even beyond today. Today's kind of an introduction, so you'll see who we are. But if you decide, oh, I might have a question about Ohio State, let me call Miss Lorraine, or I might like CCAD. Let me call Dr. Haig Palmer. So again, you'll have resources outside of today. So in the College Prep Planner, it is something for everybody on the line. So if you are a freshman, on page 8, it talks to you about your freshman year. And so you want to kind of take a look at some of those things that you will do. Each section starts off with whatever grade level you're in, and then it gives you an activity to focus on within that grade level. And so in 9th grade, you're talking about your college goals and your college brand, right? You want to talk about who you are and what you are trying to do. You won't know everything, but it gets you to start thinking about those pieces that are important. Your sophomore year starts on page 12. And then there's a career self-assessment for you to look at on pages 13 through 15. So those pieces are important. Your junior year to-do list, this is when you have to start doing. And so that starts on page 20, and it talks about college fairs, but we know we're in a virtual setting. So you can put virtual on the front of that and start thinking about your virtual college fairs. And there are some spaces for you to take notes as you are doing those pieces. And then your senior year to-do list starts on page 37. And as we know, the seniors on this line are halfway through that. So again, those are just some things I wanted to point out that are in your college prep planner. All right, I think we're ready for the slides. I'll go over the first few slides, and then I'll turn it over to Nancy Gibson, who will take us through the other pieces. And before, as those slides are coming up, before we end today, we will have a survey for you ladies to take. So it will help us to learn a little bit about what you may want to gain from additional workshops that we will have. And it will let us know if this information was helpful. So I didn't want to forget that we will have that, and we'll give you a little bit of time before you get off the line, because we know when you get off, you're ready to go on with your Sunday. So we will have you do that. So we just wanted to give you the inside scoop on the mock admissions committee. And there's a little disclaimer down there. And the disclaimer just says that, we will take a picture, or, we're recording this session. So you should have had a little box to come up and say that we're recording. And it's because we want to be able to use this information later and help other people. And so this college admissions workshop will be recorded. And of course, I'm sure Miss Dee Dee and Miss Ashley goes over Zoom etiquette with you. So I'll just let you take a look at this slide. And again, you will be able to unmute yourself and talk. Again, we don't want to just talk at you. We want to hear from you. And then the last one is have fun and stay engaged, right? Please stay engaged in the conversation. And again, any questions that you have, we'll be happy to help answer. And then the last thing is just about CAP. So CAP stands for the College Admissions Process Committee. So we are a group of sorority sisters in our sorority. It's an international program that we have, but we've made the commitment to work with students and help you step by step on the college admissions process. And so a lot of what we do are have workshops. We've worked with small groups of students to help them one-on-one. So it just kind of depends on what it looks like, but I didn't want to insult your intelligence and read the slides to you. I did want you to know, though, that this program is something that we are really, really passionate about. We love working with young people. And again, we've had various careers to be able to help to do that. All right. And so I'll turn it over to Nancy Gibson, and she will tell you a little bit about who she is and then take you through the rest of the presentation.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Sora Seneca. So my name is Nancy Gibson. Can everybody hear me okay, hopefully? Yes. Okay. So again, my name is Nancy Gibson, and I've been a member of Alpha Sigma Omega chapter for a long, long time, and I've worked with the Akadettes quite a bit. And my daughter Vanessa was an Akadette, actually. For me, my regular daily job is as a senior associate director of admissions at Denison University in Granville, so just down the road. And I also am the director of multi-ethnic admissions. So I coordinate the multicultural recruitment efforts that we have at Denison University. So it's a pleasure for us to be able to be here with you today, and the rest of the committee is excited to be able to bring this information to you and give you a little bit more detail about the actual admission process, and more importantly, the application process, and what happens behind the scenes when we're actually looking at admissions applications. And that's actually what I'm doing right now. So every day I'm reading admission applications, and sometimes I can read 50 applications in a day, and I'm reading all about students. So this is really to give you an inside look at it and to give you a sense of what this process is all about. So we're gonna all kind of take turns talking about the various slides and bringing you some basic information. Then we're turning it over to you to actually turn into the admission committee. So we're actually going to make some decisions on admissions candidates. And so we're putting you in the driver's seat with that. So we want to get your feedback, and we want you all to jump in and engage with us as we talk about the various candidates that we're going to present to you after this. So as we give you some initial information, you're going to use all of this as we try and make some decisions on these candidates. Okay, so to start with, the application process. So there are a variety of different types of admission, from early decision to early action to regular admission. One thing I do want to mention about this is that these are a variety of different ways that you can apply to a college. And I know we have a variety of ranges from 9th grade all the way to seniors, but there are a variety of ways that you can apply. And so if you were to apply early decision, that basically means that if you are admitted to that college, you must enroll. So you've got to be 100% sure that that's exactly what you want to do and a school that you actually want to be at. And so there's an agreement that you sign, your parent signs, your high school counselor signs, all saying that we all understand that if I'm admitted, I will enroll. So you've got to make a commitment, and it really needs to be your top choice school. Then you have what's called early action. Early action is where you have an opportunity to apply early to a college, but you actually have until later to make a decision on a college. So it's a way just to kind of get an early heads up and to get a sense of where you've actually been admitted to early in the process. And then regular admission actually is where students have an opportunity to apply for the regular deadline, and they'll hear back from their colleges potentially on a rolling basis, and I'll talk a little bit more about that, or at a certain kind of standard time frame. But that doesn't mean that you have to make any commitment early on. You actually will have until May 1st. Some colleges during COVID-19 moved their reply date to June 1st as well. So by that point is when you've got to make a decision. So it's important to know about all the various types of admission as you go through the process. There's also what's called the common application. That's actually an application that you complete for a series of colleges. So you fill it out one time, and then you can click off what colleges you actually want to have it sent to. So it makes it very, very convenient. There are also colleges that have their own individual applications. So they may say, our college in particular has an application that we need for you to complete. So it will vary from college to college, but it is nice when you can do a common application and check them all off at one time and hit send, and off they go. Rolling admission, as I mentioned, that basically means where you apply, and within a couple of weeks or so, you'll hear back from that particular college. So you'll hear right away as to whether or not you've been admitted. Block admission is actually what we do at Denison, and we actually let everyone know at the same time. So right now I'm reading applications for admission for Denison. We'll get back to everybody by the first week of March. So they're all going to hear our decisions at the same time. And so make sure that you're aware of how the college works as far as when they're going to notify you. Most colleges will post their dates for notification right on their webpage. So you'll have a chance to know exactly when you're going to hear back. Your applications always should be filled out completely. Make sure that you don't leave anything, blank. Make sure you're completing everything that colleges are asking you to send to them. And then also it's important that you're aware of deadlines. You've got to make sure that you don't miss a deadline. You don't want to miss an application deadline or a scholarship deadline. You've got to make sure that you're paying attention to that. Some students will get a calendar and go through and mark off when all of their applications are due or scholarship deadlines. Just make sure that you stay on top of it. I know you all are used to doing that anyway, so I'm just preaching to the choir, but make sure that you keep those things in mind. Okay, moving on. So what do colleges look for? So you submit your application, you complete it all, you hit send, well, then what happens? Sometimes people think, well, hey, maybe it's going into a dark hole and who knows who's looking at it. We actually are. And I actually spend time reading and getting a chance to get to know students. So that's what is important to know, is that the hard work that you put into it is exactly worth it, because we're going through and really taking a close look at your application. Another thing that just in this process is important to know is that, colleges will look, as far as what we're looking for, look at strong academic preparation and rigor. So that definitely means that if you're able, especially for those students that are not seniors yet, for you Akadettes, if you're able to put into your schedule an honors level course or an advanced placement course, or if your school offers IB courses, if you get a chance to take a college course through College Credit Plus or something along those lines, try and do that. Push yourself a little bit, because that's going to get you ready for college. Because on our end, when we get your transcript in, we're going to look at, hey, how prepared are they for our particular classrooms? Have they had a rigorous curriculum? We're looking at all of those things. We're going to look at your recommendations. What do your teachers and your counselors have to say about you? So if you, especially if you're a senior, you probably have already done this if you're in the process. If you haven't yet talked to your high school teacher or counselor, make sure that you do that so that they've got plenty of time to be able to write a recommendation for you. For juniors, this is a really good time to think about what teachers might write for you. Teachers need time to do that. Obviously, everybody's really busy. Definitely, if you don't know who your high school counselor is, make sure you get to know them. And that's for the 9th grade all the way up until our seniors. Make sure that you know who your high school counselor is, because they've got to speak on your behalf as well. So if you have no idea who that is, you want to make sure that you're connected to them. College essay is important, and we're going to go in depth about a variety of these different things, but college essay is important. Having strong writing skills, a well-rounded group of activities is key. Make sure that you have leadership and community involvement, that you're getting really involved in various activities, doing community service. You guys know as Akadettes what that's like. Those things are all important, and it's important to keep track of what you've done. Sometimes you can't remember. Ask your parents too. They'll definitely remember the kinds of things that you've done, but keep track of those things, because that's going to be really important. Ultimately, colleges are looking for who's going to be a good fit for our campuses. That's what we ultimately want to know. Can these students actually come to our campuses and be successful? Will it be a good fit? And so that's really where we're going through this process to figure that out. Ultimately, the application is your time to brag. It's, oftentimes we're told, hey, don't brag about yourself. That's not, that's not what we do. That's not appropriate or proper. It is. It's okay. That's what we want you to do. We want you to brag about yourself. We want you to put your best foot forward. So now's the time to really kind of talk about all the things that you've done that make you who you are, because that's what colleges want to know. So there are the elements of the application, as I mentioned, and we're going to go step by step through these. You have, again, the academics, the essay, personal statement, extracurricular involvement, recommendations, and there are other things that are considered in this process as well. And we're going to kind of talk about what some of those things may be. I want to make sure to draw your attention to the chat. You'll just see some takeaways that Seneca, my sorority sister Seneca, is putting in the chat, just so you can keep some things in mind. So take a look at that as we go along. Thank you, Seneca, for doing that as well. All right, oops, go back one. Okay, so again, as I mentioned, academics, We are also going to look at, obviously we're looking at your grades. We're going to look at your grades in all classes. So that counts from your freshman year all the way to your senior year, okay? And a lot of colleges are going to even look at that very first semester of your senior year. One inside tip is that colleges actually require your final transcript. And we do that because what happens if you've already been admitted to a college, but all of a sudden the floor drops out and everything goes haywire in the second semester of your senior year? Well, admission decisions are contingent upon successful completion of high school. So there are colleges that can take back their admission decision. A lot of times people don't realize that. I have had to be on the back end of that, and that's never a good thing. So they can actually rescind their offer of admission if all of a sudden, you're just like, hey, I'm already admitted to a college, I'm good, and you just go on autopilot. They can take back their offer. So be aware of that. That's a little inside tip. A lot of people don't realize that. But as you all, I know, are doing, work hard, keep it going, continue to do well in your courses and push yourself, and you're going to be in great shape. So as I mentioned, the rigor, the honors AP, IB, or college level courses, strengthen your senior year schedule is going to be important too. So for those of you that are seniors, hopefully you're continuing to challenge yourself. We don't want to see fluffy courses. That's what we call it. We don't want to see basket weaving and, things like that, where it's just like, hey, you know what? I'm just going to kind of take it easy. It's my senior year. No, we want to see rigor. We want to see you pushing yourself and honors and advanced courses and so forth, because guess what? That's what you're going to do in college. So you got to be ready for that college level classroom. And that's really what we're prepping you to be ready for. And so as you're looking at the classes, and as you're even for juniors, as you're thinking about scheduling, make sure that you're thinking about those things, especially in your senior year. Now, rank in class, some colleges look at class rank, other colleges do not. We have students apply from all over the country and world, and every high school does something different with their high school rank in class. So if your high school doesn't rank, that's okay. Your high school will send a high school profile, and we can get a sense of what your classes or your high school is all about and how they look at you. They may have a grade distribution or something along those lines. But if your high school does rank, colleges certainly will take a look at that as well. So it will vary. And then standardized test scores, I just want to say lastly, a lot of colleges, as you probably have seen, especially for the seniors that have been in this process, went test optional, basically meaning that they give you the opportunity of deciding if you want to submit your test scores or not. You may be somebody who tested really well and is like, yeah, you know what, I'm absolutely going to submit my test scores. Great. You may be somebody who does really well in school, but you just don't do well on standardized tests. A lot of people don't, and you are not alone. And that's exactly why colleges give you the opportunity to say, yeah, you know what, I'm not going to submit my test scores. I'm going to mark no on that. And guess what? We don't see your test scores. So when I'm reading an application of a student who said, nope, I'm not submitting my test scores, that won't be a part of my review. So make sure that you pay attention to what school requires what. And if you do have an opportunity to make a decision and you decide not to submit your test scores, that's your opportunity to do that. So just be aware of that. And again, pay attention to what each college is requiring, okay? So those are just some things that I wanted you to keep in mind as far as academics are concerned. And I am gonna turn it over to, I think, my SOR, who is doing it next? Who's doing the essay? Remind me.
I am.
Lakita, yeah, is doing the essay portion. I'm gonna turn it over to Lakita.
Thank you, SOR Nancy. Well, good afternoon, Akadettes. Thank you for allowing us to join your meeting today. It really is an honor to be here. My name is Dr. Lakita Kortner, and I'm the Vice President of Valor Christian College. So I also serve on the admissions committee. We use a 5-person committee at my institution. So I do review admissions applications. And my role is I'm over academics at the college. So I look specifically at a student's academics, but I do read the personal statements because I want to get to know a little more about the students who are coming onto our campus. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the importance of the essay or the personal statement. So it is not just a part of the admissions process just to, provide you with busy work. We really do want to get to know a little bit more about you. sometimes students overshare and sometimes they just share the wrong things. So I want to help you with that a little bit today. So this allows you to share more information about yourself that might not be in the application. So sometimes you're just filling out demographic information, name, high school, but you want to make sure that anything that shows that you know how to balance various things in life and still maintain a high GPA. You want to talk about that. What does that mean? That means I'm a part of Akadettes, I work at Wendy's, I volunteer at my church, I'm involved in, all of those things. And then they're looking at the academics. It's going to really paint a picture of who you are. And it's going to show that you're a strong student who knows how to balance things that life brings. And you want to make sure that you do brag on yourself in the essay or the personal statement. So you want to make sure that it's very personal. And if they give you prompts, some schools do not, some leave it wide open for you to just kind of talk about yourself. And if you do, don't take that as an opportunity to overshare. I think some of the things that frustrate me the most is when students start their sentence or start their personal statement off with, well, in kindergarten, well, you're a senior graduating from high school. I don't want to know about what happened in kindergarten. I want to know about the things that you've been doing over the past 4 or 5 years, because to me, that's your way of getting prepared for going to college. And so I want to know about that. If there was something absolutely marvelous that happened to you back then, that's great, but don't stay there. Okay, if you're given prompts, there is a reason for that. Answer the prompts. You never want to just write about what you want to write about, because if they're asking you, why do you want to attend this institution? Why are you the best candidate, for this scholarship or whatever? It could be used for a number of things. Some schools do not have a separate scholarship application. So they look at the personal statement. I know when I look at it, I'm thinking, okay, this person has told me that they have skills with this in this area. They're really interested in this. So I begin to think, how can I place them throughout the campus? There may be a work study position that's available. And I've read a personal statement where a student talked about, how strong they are with their computer skills, tech skills, or creativity. The wheels start turning in my head of how I can get them placed somewhere on campus in a job or potentially a scholarship. So answer the questions, be as clear and concise as you possibly can, but don't overshare. You also want to make sure that you have someone else read it, because when we read our own work, sometimes we read it for how we know it was supposed to be, as opposed to how it really does come across. And spell check doesn't catch everything, because there's some words that can be spelled correctly that are still not used correctly. So I would strongly advise that you allow at least 2 people to review it, kind of mark it up, and then go back and maybe even read it out loud so that you can hear it. This is a representation of who you are. And so you want to present yourself in the best way possible. Also know that, I know we definitely do this at my institution. I ask my English instructor to review the personal statements, not to edit them, but because I want to get a sense of where the student should be placed in their freshman English class. And if you're a very strong writer, that will come across. If you are a, not so strong writer, then I may say, okay, put them in this particular class unless you see something else that's going to demonstrate otherwise. So you never know how this can be used. And I'm not saying that to frighten you in any way. This is to bring an awareness from those of us who work at institutions so that you are prepared. No one told me this. But just be honest in your statements, tell them who you are, explain all the wonderful things that you're doing. You don't have to necessarily embellish, just say it. and review it for any errors, answer the prompts if they're giving you prompts, and don't go on and on and on. So very important part of the admissions application. And thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And so next, we have got my soror Lorraine is going to talk about extracurricular involvement.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Lorraine Pennyman, and it's great to be here this afternoon. And I am actually the Director of Leadership and Engagement at Fisher College of Business at The Ohio State University. So everything outside the classroom, it's important to have a well-rounded application. So we're talking about academic rigor, talking about the essay, but all the involvement you ladies are doing now and what you're going to continue to do. And this actually even rolls into admission to the university and colleges and admission possibly to some selective and specialized programs once you're at the institution of your choice. So you really want to look for your strengths. Your strengths are your talents. So whatever you are involved in now, you're involved in this program, you may be involved in others, you may be involved in sports. Those are going to be your talents. And the stronger you get in those talents, that's what you want to put on your application. The different levels of involvement. It's not necessarily listing 20 different things. I was involved in A through Z and did the B's and C's, but really the depth and quality of your involvement. You want to look for all the different honors and the athletic things you're doing, the arts, the work history is important. So everyone has kind of touched upon all these different pieces. So having the strong academics, having work, having community service, and wrapping that in a bow when you're submitting your application. While you're doing those things, you're constantly developing leadership skills. You're doing that in everything you do on a daily basis. At the same time, developing your time management. Universities and colleges want to hear about that. Want to hear about that to admit you into the institutions and to set you up for success for additional opportunities once you're at the institution. So the more you can demonstrate how you've developed as a leader throughout your entire high school career and how you're developing time management, that's how we're going to see if you are able to contribute to the campus and contribute to other programs and things of that nature. So you don't need to have 20 plus different things. Focus on a couple. I tell students, focus on three. Focus on three loves that you have and make those loves your passion in your application. And the activities definitely always do not outweigh your academics. So you'll make sure, like everyone has already said, that you have a really good balance of each. So the extracurricular activities are the leadership development, personal development, as well as anything else that can really make you stand out. So focus on three loves to really kind of make your impact on your application.
Great, thank you so much, soror Lorraine. So I'm going to turn it over to my soror, Dr. Toyce Haig Palmer, to talk a little bit about, she's talking about recommendations.
Great, thank you so much. Good afternoon, ladies. First, let me just tell you a little bit who I am. I am currently the Director of Student Support Services at the University of Toledo. So I constantly work with students and supporting them in their academics at the university. Ms. Seneca mentioned earlier, Columbus College of Art and Design. I also used to work there. And so if there are any of you ladies that have the art background, interested in fashion or drawing or technology, I also have a lot of that information at that institution as well. Excuse me. So I want to talk about recommendations. So far, every element of the college application process is important, but recommendations is also important because while you are filling out your application, talking about yourself and the wonderful things that you're doing, sharing your extracurricular activities, your recommendations are important. You need to have people that's going to back you up and be able to support all those wonderful things about you. So, for instance, when you're looking at your recommendations, consider your counselors, consider your teachers. But one important thing is don't consider them your senior year. You need to cultivate those relationships from as early as your freshman year coming in to your sophomore year, junior year. You need to cultivate relationships with your present and even past teachers, as well as counselors. I think Nancy, as someone mentioned about get to know who your counselor is. Start those relationships early. So work on those relationships. And also think about other relationships you have outside of school. What about your pastor, your church? What about the Akadettes, your Akadette advisors? You know, you think about those people. What about a job, wherever you might work? You want to cultivate those relationships because all of those people can be positive and give lots of great information about who you are and support all those wonderful things that you said in your application, all the wonderful things you talked about extracurricular. And another important thing when it comes to your recommendations, be respectful. Be respectful of, I think someone already mentioned that, you know, when you're getting those recommendations, let's not wait to the 11th hour. Okay, you're filling out an application that's due sometime in December or January. Let's not wait to the day before that is due. Be respectful of people's time, so that way they understand they can take the time and write something very positive about you. People love writing recommendations about you, but you have to be respectful and let them know. Also, another good tip is you might want to have like a sheet of bullet points of things that you do, you know, things you're interested in, the college that you want to go to, what you want to major, some of the activities you're involved in, and also give that to those people that you're asking for recommendation, because in that way they'll have something to refer to when they're writing all these wonderful things about you. Let's see, those are the main things I think. I mean, there's lots of others, but again, just remember, cultivate those relationships early. Start now. Be respectful of time of those people that's writing your recommendations, and make sure you provide them like a little synopsis, one pager, bullet points of things that are of interest to you, where you want to go, what you want to major in, the things that you've done. And finally, once your recommendations are written, please send a thank you to those people that wrote a recommendation for you. That is so important. Send a thank you, a short email, a phone call, but let them know that you're really appreciative of them writing a recommendation, because 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to need another recommendation from them again later on for something else. So that's why cultivating those relationships are important. And that's why it's very, very respectful that you do say thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sortoisi. And I've got one more slide I'm going to do here, and then we're going to let you all go on a little quick break here before we get into the next part of our workshop, which is the admission committee. It's when you get to make some decisions. So the one thing that I wanted to share before we head to break is that there are some other things to consider in this process. And so there are, you know, it is important, certainly if you had a parent that attended a particular institution you're looking at, to mark that down on your application, or if you had siblings attend that school, make sure that you do that, or any other relatives. There's usually a place where you can indicate that, because colleges certainly want to know that piece of information and have that as a part of the process. That won't necessarily rule the day, because in the end, you got to be able to make it happen in the classroom, and your academics are going to be most important, but these are certainly things that colleges do want to know. Also, if you do have a special talent, like maybe you're a musician or you're a great athlete, a fantastic artist, what have you, make sure that you indicate that as well. You may be looking at colleges that may have a conservatory of music, or it might be a place like CCAD, which is an art school. Make sure that you're indicating that information. And if you've got to put together a portfolio, make sure you do that. Or if you've got to audition with your music talent or theater or what have you, make sure you're ready to go. Colleges have audition days. They have certain times set aside, potentially if you're auditioning for a scholarship. So make sure that you're getting all your ducks in a row, especially if you've got a certain level of talent. And obviously athletics, you know, if you are a D1 athlete, there is a whole NCAA clearinghouse process that you're going through. You can be recruited at D1, D2, D3 schools. It will vary from school to school, so make sure that you are on top of that. If you've got to get your film together or whatever you're doing, make sure that you're on top of those things so that you don't get left in the dust because you didn't get something in, or you didn't get a film in on time, or go to an audition day or what have you. Also, this is one of these inside scoop things, okay? So level of demonstrated interest. What that means, and colleges are a variety of different sizes. We've got big schools, small schools, medium-sized schools, right? And so there are some colleges where, you know, they don't have an opportunity because the pools are so big to know every single student. But they may be looking at, hey, are they engaging with us in some way? Have they hopped onto one of our programs? Especially as we're in this virtual world and they're doing a presentation. Oh, hey, you know what? I see that they attended our presentation. Or maybe they came to our campus and had an opportunity to go and do a tour. There are a lot of colleges that aren't offering them, but there are some that are offering them. And so make sure that you do that research. Demonstrated interest can come into play depending upon the college. Definitely at a place like Denison, that's a highly selective school. We're actually paying attention to all of those things. Did they come to a high school presentation? Did they come to a college fair that we are part of? Did they come to one of our webinars? Did they interview? Have they been on campus? All of those things, as I'm looking at that application, that also pops up. So I know, hey, you know what? They're engaging with us. And because we're a small school and a highly selective school, we really can pick and choose in the applicant pool. So if there's a college out there that you are loving, that you want to be at, that is your top choice, make sure that you're engaging with them in some way. Students email me all the time, every day. I just got an email from a student today on a Sunday, and it popped up on my phone. And this is a student who has questions. We can engage with you in a variety of different ways, big or small, but ultimately make sure that you, if you're interested in a college, you'll let them know that you do your research and that you're connecting with them in some way. Okay, so that is the inside scoop on that. So now we're going to take a 5-minute break, I believe, just to make sure hopefully everybody had a good quick break there. So we are back at it. So as promised, you guys are going to become the admission committee at this point. So we are going to do an admission committee exercise, and we're going to walk you through this process, and then we definitely want you to be able to participate and have discussion. So this is when you get to see the nitty gritty and the behind the scenes look at how this all works when you hit submit on your application. So you have all just been named members of the admission committee for USA College. So just for a little bit of background, you may have seen this on the screen here. USA College is a small private college in the Midwest offering majors in the liberal arts and business to 1,200 undergraduate students. Okay, so small school, Midwest, a full range of extracurricular activities, including Division III athletics, are offered. So the average GPA at USA College is a 3.0. The average SAT is an 1160, and the average ACT is a 24. So USA College wants to enroll the best students possible, but it also wants to enroll students who will contribute to the campus life. In addition to diversity in all its forms, ethnic, religious, geographic, socioeconomic, etc., it's important as one way of making the college experience valuable for all students. So as the admission committee, here's what we're asking you to do. So the committee has the responsibility of enrolling 400 students from 2,800 applications. So one thing I'll say about that is colleges put out a lot more offers of admission than we're going to get for the number of students actually enrolling, okay? Because when you think about it, you're applying to a lot of different colleges, right? So you've got a lot of different choices. So we're basically trying to figure out how many students we need to admit to get 400 students to enroll, okay? So that's typically what happens behind the scenes when colleges are looking at that. So typically USA College admits approximately 1,200 students to enroll 400, because again, it's hard to predict who will enroll. So together, what we're going to do as a group is we're going to review 3 students who applied to USA College. Now, we're going to need to admit 1. We can only admit 1. We're going to waitlist 1, and we're going to deny 1, which is always difficult, okay? So that's what we're going to do in this process. And so with that, we have 3 applicants that we're going to consider, okay? Again, we're located in the Midwest, small school. So we're looking at Lisa from Atlanta, Georgia, Charles from St. Louis, Missouri, and Angela, who is from New York City, New York. So these are the candidates that you are going to learn more about, and I'm going to have my sorority sisters tell you a little bit about them. So we're going to start off with Lisa, and so Lorraine is going to talk with you about Lisa.
Good afternoon, admissions committee. So Lisa is a very strong candidate, a well-rounded candidate that I think we should look at for admission to our institution. She has a composite of a ACT of a 24, and she is interested in majoring in history, and she wants to be a lawyer. Her recommenders say some fabulous things about her, and her involvements really help demonstrate how well-rounded she is as a student, from tutoring children, being active in her church, being active with her Spanish club, photography club, and assistant editor of her school paper. Her essay topic was on world hunger, and it was a solid, well-organized essay. Her recommenders can't speak highly of her enough, from saying that she has a generosity of spirit to gentleness and strength. Her writing is pretty strong. Her youth group advisor says she enjoys serving others, which are all goals for part of her life. Her mother is actually an alumna of our college, but she hasn't made an official campus visit. That is
Okay.
Lisa from Atlanta.
Yes, Lisa from Atlanta. So those are the details on Lisa. So our next candidate is Charles, and my Sortoisi is going to talk about Charles next. Oh, unmute yourself. I think we're missing you. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Well, Lisa sounds wonderful, but let's talk about Charles. I love this young man. He is from St. Louis, Missouri. He currently has a 25 ACT, which is well over what we require. He's the top 20% in his class, has a 3.3 GPA, and must I say that he is currently taking a college prep curriculum. Now he's undecided, but that's okay. He's really interested in coming to a small institution like ours because his high school is small. He is very active in high school. He is the president of the National Honor Society. He's in the community service club. He has 3 varsity letters in basketball. And must I say, I was so impressed to find out that he has played the piano for 10 years. Look at that. Very well versed. He did a wonderful job on his essay. He talked about his community service. He was very passionate about talking, about helping people. He gave great examples. Got a little bit of lost in the middle, but that's okay. He kind of pulled it all together in the end, and so it was very strong. So I really loved his essay. He had wonderful recommendations. I was really impressed with his service club advisor. They talked about his attendance. He was faithful in all the activities, had a strong desire in helping students and everyone else. And his guidance counselor spoke very highly of him, saying what an excellent student he was, and he had a high degree of integrity. You know, that's very important for us. One thing I was really impressed that he did come to visit our campus. He did that his senior year. Now, during his interview, he was a little reserved, but that's okay. You know, use some little clip answers, but that's just minor stuff. But he wants to be here, and I think that's very important. He did apply, although he was a little late. But hey, he's an athlete. He's very active, but at least he got the application in.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Sortoisi. Okay, and our last candidate is Angela, who is from New York City, New York. And my Sora Lakita is going to talk about Angela.
All right, committee. This is our candidate. Her school, large public school, ACT score 22, rank in high school class, top 25%, 3.4. She took honors in AP classes. We love that. Her major, she wants to be a pediatrician, so she'll be pre-med, which is awesome. Her activities, concerts, symphony, student government. She's involved in the youth group at her church and community theater. Well-rounded. Her essay, the topic was about her research project. This is a high school student who did a research project on childhood diabetes, and she wants to be a physician. How could we not accept her? She had good content, full of good examples, and was well-written. Star student in my eye. Her recommendations came from a clergy person, a teacher, and a counselor who all had wonderful things to say about her. Her campus interview serious, relatively mature for her age. She may lack a little bit of confidence, but that's okay. That's a part of this whole experience. That's a part of what we will do, is help her to be more confident in who she will become. Her parents' recent divorce may have had its influences. So, she may need to just be loved on a little bit. Maybe we can, use some of our support services to assist her. But a solid interview, I expect she will be even better on paper. So I think she's a wonderful example of who we need on our campus, and I certainly think she should be accepted.
So now we've got to decide. Okay, so you've seen all three of these candidates, amazing presentations on each candidate. It makes it difficult. And this is actually how it typically an admission committee works. Everybody presents their candidates and presents a case for their candidates, okay? So again, you're seeing behind the scenes. This is what happens when we're all sitting around the table. So you've heard about Angela, you've heard about Charles, and you've heard about Lisa. Okay, so let's look at a summary of these candidates. And I'm going to give you a little bit of time just to look at this summary as you're trying to remember each of the candidates, because again, oops, we got a lot of information, right? So here's a chance to just take a quick snapshot. We'll give you a few minutes to look at this, and then we're going to have some discussion, okay? So just take a moment, take a few minutes to just kind of absorb this as, again, a snapshot of what we just presented to you. So take a look, and then we'll come back and have some discussion. Okay, hopefully everybody had a chance to take a good look at this summary of each of our candidates, Lisa, Charles, and Angela. So now it's time to hear from you. So this is the time where you can, be a part of the conversation, and I might need our Akadette advisors to let me know who's got their hand up and so forth, okay? You're all in a little small box on my screen here. So let's talk about each candidate. So as you heard, and as you're looking at this summary, what stood out about the candidates? So let's first start with Lisa. What stood out to you about Lisa? Anybody want to share? Now's your time. Don't be shy. What stood out to you about Lisa?
Her honors and AP classes, and her leadership roles in different things in nature, and her college essay.
Okay. Anyone else? What stood out about Lisa?
Her recommendations were pretty positive about her. They had some great stuff to say.
Anything else?
She's very well-rounded. She has a lot of clubs and that have different interests.
Exactly. What else? Anything else that you're seeing? All good stuff.
Her mother's an alumni. But
her mother is an alum.
Visited.
Exactly. And sometimes you need to kind of deduct things like if her mother's an alum, maybe she's been on campus, but maybe she didn't do a formal official visit. Maybe she just was there for like an alumni thing or what have you. So always kind of think about those types of things. Anything else on Lisa that stood out? Anything else we're missing? Okay. Let's talk about Charles. What do we think about Charles? Charles is the one who is at the small private school. What are your thoughts on Charles?
I think Charles is like a pretty decent candidate, but my only issue is like he submitted it really like after the normal and that's the normal deadline. That's like the last round, and I think that's kind of problematic because you see his recommendations are like pretty like on point. He gets his things done. He's done all those things. Yet something as important as an application, and you turn it in after the deadline. I think that kind of speaks to how committed he is to this. So
Good thoughts. What else? What else about Charles stands out?
He has a really impressive like list of activities, like being the National Honor Society president is like, that's really impressive.
Right. Yeah, definitely very involved, very engaged. I mean, the fact that he's played piano for 10 years, wow, that's amazing. What else?
He has great SAT scores and is taking a college prep curriculum.
Right. So can he make it happen in that classroom? He's got a good profile, especially because of the fact that, our average, again, is a 3.0. So we think about our particular college, ACT average is a 24. Yeah. What else? Anything else? I should think about Charles.
He seems like a strong leader.
He does, right? Good leadership, could make things happen on our campus. Absolutely. His topic on his essay, community service. Anything else on Charles? Okay. Let's talk about Angela. What do you think about Angela? Give me some feedback.
She goes to a large public school, so the competition is probably higher, and for her to have such a high percentage in the top of her class.
Exactly. Yeah. She's also taking a community college class, isn't she? What else about Angela? What else stands out?
Her essay aligns with the career she wants.
Exactly. That's a really good point. Absolutely. And about research. Wow. I mean, she could dig in and do research on childhood diabetes. That's amazing. And gave good examples. One thing I'll say is always give examples, okay? If you're writing an essay, expand on that. If you're like, I like to be involved in this activity, why? Give me some examples. If you're interviewing, give me some examples. So just a little tidbit I want to throw in there, but always give examples. What else?
I don't know if anyone making the connection, but in her picking her activities that she's chosen and her essay and the way that she's described in the recommendations and additional info, they all align to just a really good student and someone who's serious about their grades and serious about their academics, but also someone who's well-rounded in different things. But also it seems like she knows what she wants and she's serious about it.
Wow, you guys have done this before, right? I mean, clearly. Were you sitting in on some admission committees before? That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, the things you're picking up on are exactly what admissions committees are doing. That's right. And when she got in her interview, she was serious, but she was mature for her age, right? And she was really focused on what she's looking at doing. Even though she was a little bit of, lacked a little bit of confidence, it was clear that came through that she's got that maturity and seriousness. Anything else about Angela?
Just to like hit on that confidence note, like confidence can be built, especially like if like people around her really build her up, like confidence, I don't think is something that should be like a detrimental factor. Like, oh, she lacks confidence, couldn't be her. No, that's something that can be built. That's something that can be facilitated. Like she's a senior in a high school in a very large public school. So she's probably been overlooked. Her parents got divorced. So a lot of focus wasn't on her. But at this smaller school, she'll get a lot of like the attention that she needs in order to thrive. Because and she's been able to do this on her own. So she wrote a research project on diabetes. Like, she's obviously a very driven individual, and coupled with just the attention that a human being needs, I really think that she'd be like a really good addition and a really good alumni. You know, who knows what she could do later in the future. So I think that'll help put the college on the map. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm just so impressed by you all. Okay, you are bringing it today. I appreciate that. And just being really thoughtful about it, because I'll tell you, this is a really tough process for admissions offices. As you can see, we're just talking about 3 students. Imagine you're talking about 50 or 100 or what have you, and trying to make these really tough decisions. It's a tough process, but that thoughtful commentary and really thinking about how they could potentially add to our campus, right, that we're looking for, makes a big difference. So thank you for all of that good dialogue and discussion. I appreciate it. So now comes the time. We've heard about all 3 of these candidates. We've discussed them. Now, if in the chat, I'm just going to give you like 30 seconds. In the chat, can you please put down, now that you've seen everybody, take one last look, quick snapshot here. In the chat, put down what person you would, wait until I say go, admit, what person you would waitlist, and what person you would deny. Okay, think about all of these students. All right, go ahead and put them in the chat. Let's see what we're coming up with. Who are you going to admit, waitlist, deny? So you can put WL, what have you. Okay, all right.
Seems like they're admitting Angela.
I'm seeing a lot going on here. Some waitlisting of Lisa, some denying of Lisa, some denying of Charles. Good stuff. This is good stuff.
This feels like the election.
It does. Who's gonna win? Who's gonna win?
Terry making it.
I work on CNN. No, this is such a tough choice. What are we gonna do? Man, you all are putting a lot of thought in. This is good. This is good. And so I may have my sorors maybe give me some feedback and summary, because I'm just looking at this all coming at me. I'm seeing a wide range of things in our chat, a wide range of decisions. So I'm seeing a lot of admit Angelas, if I'm seeing it right. Has everybody had a chance to put their stuff? Okay, keep going if you haven't had a chance.
We have
Let's
a
see.
hand that's up, Chloe.
Oh, okay, who do we have? Whose hand's up?
Chloe.
Okay, go ahead.
I
Chloe?
didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry.
That's fine. No problem. Okay, has everybody had a chance to put who you're going to admit, waitlist, and deny? Okay. It looks like somebody needs to get entered back into the group. Okay. So, all right, I'm just going to skim, and again, I'm going to rely on my source to help me if I'm not seeing everything. So I'm seeing a lot of admits for Angela. I'm seeing some waitlists for Lisa, some denies for Charles. I think I see Angela looks like overwhelmingly is on admit.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, okay, is that what I'm, okay. So with the discussion, it looks like the majority of our committee would like to vote to admit Angela. Great choice. There are no wrong answers in this process. So, so if you put down admit somebody else, no problem. It's all about just kind of taking it all into consideration. The other thing that I'll say is everybody comes from different perspectives, right? And had different life experiences. Maybe your parents got divorced, right? And you're reading this application and you're like, oh my goodness. Or maybe you have God forbid, childhood diabetes. And it's like, whoa, I'm really connecting. keep in mind, people sitting around that table are coming from different life experiences where they can be connecting and relating something back to what their experiences are. And that's where you've got a variety of different people listening in, right? So that everybody can make a really good decision for their institution. So Angela is a good decision for our institution. She obviously can handle things academically. She's bringing it as far as, you know, she's already done research, she's involved, she will be focused, she's mature, all these things that we really want in a student that's coming to our institution. Then it looks like a good chunk of you chose to waitlist Lisa. Is that what I'm saying? Over a larger number of waitlisting Lisa, some waitlisted Charles. Talk to me a little bit about why did you waitlist Lisa or Charles? Tell me why you made that decision.
I really just denied Charles because of like that. It was just him waiting till the very last minute, past the last minute, because everything about him seems so dedicated. Everything that he's done is so dedicated. The college prep curriculum, so he invested to make sure that he did well on his test. A 3.3 GPA. He's invested in school. He's played piano for 10 plus years. He has 3 letters. Everything he has done has shown the excellent student, careful, expecting. Every single thing about him points him being so dedicated. So it was just that last minute after the deadline that just really like it showed, like, even though he did go, you know, he did go, but you went. So you went, everything about him seems so great, but it's just after the deadline. It says to me he isn't invested.
So I have a question.
Go ahead. Yes.
I was going to say, so I want to throw this out there for consideration. So what if he was in the middle of like a huge tournament season, or he was in the midst of, and I'm not making excuses, I'm just saying these are the realities of a lot of our students that we see turn things in beyond deadlines. There's always some unpeeling or unpacking you have to do behind some of them. So what if that was the case and he just missed that deadline? That's just for consideration.
Good
for our committee.
point. Good point.
I love the argument she made though, because truthfully, that's the same thing that we do in committees. If we see someone who's really strong and they turn something in late and we know that we can't accept them or we can't give them the scholarship, I know I have done exactly what you just did. I'm like, what a great student. I can't believe they didn't turn. We do the exact same thing. So I mean, I was seeing myself in you, but we get frustrated that students miss out on opportunities. And so to what Sora Seneca said, you know, yeah, some things do happen, life happens, but there's also no law that says you can't start early. If you know you have things coming up and it's gonna, you know, come up on that deadline, start working on it early. But we sit behind the scenes and we make the same arguments that you just made. So that was awesome.
That's exactly right. And the other thing is when you have a wait list and you're like, okay, the wait list, just so you know, is when you put out all your admission decisions, so all the people we admitted. So we admitted Angela and a whole bunch of other students, right? And they have all these other schools they've been admitted to too. And they may say, yep, I'm gonna come to USA College, or they may say, no, I'm not. And if they don't, and we've got a gap and we're like, wait a minute, we gotta fill up our class of 400, let's maybe take somebody off the wait list. Would Charles be somebody good to take off the wait list, even though he was late? That's something to consider. Sometimes there are things like, because we know he can do the work, right? Because if you take somebody off the wait list, you want to be able to sit in the class and be able to do the work. We know he can do the work. Would it be worth taking him off of the wait list? Who knows? Or waitlisting him. So just food for thought, no wrong answers. And then does anybody have any comments on Lisa and why you either waitlisted or denied Lisa? Any thoughts?
I was gonna say the reason why I thought it was so close between Lisa and Charles on waitlist is because they're pretty similar. Like they kind of have similar stories. They're both motivated and want to help people, but I feel like the difference, or the reason why I said waitlist Charles instead of Lisa, is because of the slight difference in academics, the size of the school. Because even though Charles went to a private school, it's still larger, smaller school. And also he visited, so he got to see the campus. I feel like even though it was late, his application was late. I don't know. I feel like those things overrule that. So
Yeah, it's all that stuff to consider. Any other thoughts or comments on Lisa, whether you denied her or waitlisted her? Any other thoughts? And then I just have a couple more things, and then we'll open it up to just any general questions you have. Anything else on Lisa? Thoughts on Lisa?
I did waitlist Lisa, but I also didn't notice that she had no interview. And then she made no official campus visit. Like, even though her mom's an alumni, you know, she probably did. Everything about her there is kind of like smaller compared to everyone else's. So everyone else has like, you know, a lot of details. They've done this, that, and the third, and hers is kind of. And then her topic was world hunger. And while I was thinking, I'm like, world hunger is such a basic topic. You know, community service, I feel, is a little more personal. Childhood diabetes, that's really like invested. World hunger, everyone has heard about world hunger, you know, and there's no example. So like, how can she relate to world hunger? Was something going on in her personal life? Did someone else, like, where's the personality, you know?
We needed more.
Yeah.
Good thoughts. Oh my goodness. I'm telling you, you guys must have done this before. It's clear. So now that we've made these decisions, we've admitted a student, we've waitlisted a student, we've denied a student. And again, no right or wrong answers. I would say definitely overwhelmingly, everybody thought Angela, slam dunk. Okay. So as you think about going through this process, we have truly shown you behind the scenes, right? We have peeled it all back so you can see exactly what goes on and what kinds of decisions have to be made, which are very difficult. Does anybody have comments on what this process was like to go through? Anything you'd like to share about having done this exercise?
I know it was supposed to be like serious and all, like you're admitting people to college, but like it was fun to like know people's backgrounds and like argue like, hey, this person did this, but this person also did this. So I feel like getting to know people better and like the information you give in your stuff is important.
It is. It's getting that info and being thorough, right? And spending time in your essay. What your counselor has to say about you, we read all of that. So yeah, it's a fascinating process to go through for sure. And hearing all the arguments. What else? Anybody else have thoughts?
I think it's pretty scary. Like, I think like just because someone didn't add two more, you know, traits about me, that could really like impact whether I got into a school or not. Like, you know what I mean? It's scary because Lisa could be a slam dunk, but I never would have known that. I wouldn't have given her the benefit of the doubt. Or Charles could have been really wanted to go to this school. It was his be all, end all, whatever. But because something got in the way, whether it slipped his mind, because that happens a lot, something just slips your mind. He didn't set a reminder. He turned his essay in late or his application in late. He is kicked out. I think it's frightening. It's frightening.
Here's the thing that will ensure that you're putting your best foot forward is to be thorough, right? Get to know your counselor, pinpoint the teacher you want to write for you. Your part in filling out the application, be thorough, spend time on your essay. That's how you're going to make sure we've got all the information. So Seneca, did you have something you want to add?
Yeah, I was going to say, and one of the things that's important, you were just hitting on it, getting to know those key people, but also when you're asking people to write about you, give them something to write. And so I used to give my students a brag sheet in which they needed to write about themselves. Even if you have a resume, you don't want somebody to just pull like lines off of your resume. You want them to be able to speak to what you've done and who you've been as a student. And so if you give them a couple of things, like some key words or some key phrases to be able to help write about you, that's helpful because they can go more in depth. I've had schools call me back, colleges call me back and say, you know, I want to offer this student a scholarship because you wrote blah, blah, blah in their essay. That has really happened. So again, making sure that you have the right people writing for you. Everyone's not always going to write pleasant things if you didn't have a great relationship with them. So really thinking about the relationships being key, and making sure that they will write some positive things about you. Sorry.
Absolutely. Yeah, Lakita.
My comment is, you know, you're opening up yourself to the world. We, you know, when you're in high school, you're comparing yourself to your classmates. You know, you're thinking of your world of Columbus, Ohio, surrounding communities. When you start to apply to college, you have students from all over the country and sometimes even over the world who may be applying. So that's why it's so important that you give your very best with everything that you do, because you're now joining a whole different arena and you want to make sure that you can be as competitive as possible. And when you start to look at scholarships and all of those things, it's even more competitive. This is just admissions. But when now schools are going to give out money, now it gets even more competitive. So it's not in any way to make you fearful or nervous, but to help you to understand the importance of proper preparation and just giving your very best with everything that you do. And then you stand on that, you know, and know that where you're meant to be is where you're going to be. But you always want to just, you know, put your best foot forward, present yourself as well as possible, and don't slack off, because you're going from your school, your family, your unit in Columbus or surrounding area to now you're competing with a much larger audience.
That's such a good point. Yeah, Sir Seneca.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'll be quiet after this.
No, you're fine.
One other thing that I will say is I know that we have, you know, you all may be in various places. You're in 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade. And this has been a very difficult year for people. So I don't want to make it seem like we're like, you have to be a straight A student in this. There are 4,000 colleges, over 4,000 colleges and universities out there. Now, we talk a lot about having the right fit. So having the right academic fit, social fit, and financial fit. But please know that there are people that are willing to help you, again, along this way, along this path, have the conversation. If your grades are not where you want them to be, right, and you want to make some different decisions, we can have those kind of conversations with you also. But I always talk to people because, again, people are in different places. Then I never want to make it seem like we're saying you have to be this straight A student and you're just going to get into college and everybody else is going to fall by the wayside. That's not the case at all.
Well, and here's the other piece. There's a college for all of you. You've all worked hard to be Akadettes, right? You're holding it down in class and doing all the stuff you need to do. You've got amazing advisors. You also have the luxury of having these admission people and high school counselors and all of these people available to help you. I get people that ask me all the time to read their college essay. I am happy to do that for anyone, and we'll give you feedback. We can help you in whatever way that you need. What we want to do is just to be able to show you the behind the scenes so that you understand the perspective of the admission people as you're thinking about putting together your materials, right? And putting your application together, getting your recommendations pulled together. So all of those things, hopefully, this process has helped you with all those things as you're thinking about what you need to do. And again, all of you are at a variety of different levels, but just know that's what we're here for. We're a resource, and we're happy to use our expertise in whatever way we can to make sure that you're going to be successful. So don't be scared of the process. Do what you got to do, what you've been doing, right? And you're going to be just fine. Last question, as you went through all of this, is there anything brand new that you learned about the admissions review process? Anything that jumped out at you? One new thing.
I didn't know it was a group of people. I didn't know it was a committee. I always thought like it's one person. Like I knew there were going to be several people obviously looking at it, but I didn't know like you had discussions. I thought it was just one person, briefly looks over, moves on. You like what you see some keywords, put it in the thing. Don't see it, put it out. That's what I thought it was.
And it'll vary from college to college, you know, there might be just a handful of people, there might be a large committee, it just will vary. So every college is going to be different with how they do things. But if you put everything together in your application and put forward a strong application, no matter who sees it, that's going to rule the day. So that's a really good point. Anything else, any new thing that stood out, anything that was surprising?
I think someone said that colleges can like take back their decision.
Yes.
If you like think like, oh, I got in, so I can like slip up now.
Right.
Yeah.
That is definitely a inside scoop tip, because people don't realize that. They think I'm in, I'm good, you know, and then if everything goes down the toilet, no, you can take it back, and that's never a happy time. So, so just, you know, I always say keep your foot on the gas all the way through. Don't let your foot up off the gas. And your senior year should be your most challenging year. That sounds crazy, but it should be, because you're getting ready for college and you're getting ready to make that transition, and you want to have a smooth transition, right, into the college classroom. So if you've worked hard, if you keep pushing yourself, college will be a breeze. You'll be like, I've been ready for this, you know? So that's why colleges want to see you working hard. We don't want to see fluffy courses in your senior year where you're just, you know, breezing through. Got to work hard, got to keep your foot on the gas. So that's important. There is a survey, quick survey that we want all of you to just take a few minutes to complete, if you don't mind. Just take a quick couple of minutes now to complete that for us. And while you're doing that, we're here if anybody has any other questions just about the college search process, anything from this session, whatever we can help you with. But if all the Akadettes, if you could do that, that would be super helpful right now for us as we continue to put workshops together in the future. This kind of feedback is certainly helpful. And we've had several workshops this fall, and we're going to do some more this spring. Any questions?
I have one. So yeah. I moved this. So this is I'm at a new school this year. Okay. I went from Western to Pickerington, and like I find it. I obviously have a personality, but it's really hard to convey that personality when you're only in school 2 days a week. So like how do I build those relationships? Because it's like my teachers from my old school, they knew me, you know, they knew who I was. But at this school, they don't know me like that. I can't really be me, kind of, or even like my counselor. Like I literally only saw him once because something happened. Like it wasn't a positive thing that I'd want necessarily him to put on a resume, because he doesn't know me outside of that. So how can I build this kind of a relationship if the most you can do is over email, and those people be slacking with the email? Sometimes they don't even get back to you. So it's like, how can I build?
Yeah, you know, so it's a tough time for everybody. So also know that colleges are giving you some grace in this COVID time, right? We all are experiencing it. We get it. One thing that I would do is certainly, you know, as much as you can let, and even if it's like, hey, put together your brag sheet, here's what I've done here. So we've not had an opportunity to connect as much, but I want to let you know what I've done, because you're coming from a different high school, engaging in the classroom, doing all those things, even if you're in school just for a couple of times a week. Just continue to be yourself and do your thing, and your personality is going to come out, right? People will know who you are. So, but there certainly are some things that you can do just to connect. And if they're not getting back to you via email, do it again. Give them a call, you know, do those kinds of things so that you're getting the information you need too, because high school counselors are a really valuable resource because they've got a lot of information to share with you. They're obviously going to be speaking on your behalf. The other thing is, what year are you?
I'm a junior.
Junior, okay. The other thing you can do is also have your high school counselor from your previous school or a teacher from your previous school write an additional recommendation for you because they know you well. So that's something you can all read all the recommendations that come into an application. So that's always something that students may do, especially if they've moved schools multiple times. That way you still have people speaking on your behalf that know you really well too.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, Seneca?
I just had a couple of announcements, but I can wait and get all the questions first if we have any additional questions.
Anybody else?
How does it feel to deny someone?
It's hard. I never like that process, or to have to tell someone they've been denied, it's never fun. I've been doing this for 30 years. It's hard. It's still hard because the only comfort that I take is that I know they're going to go to college somewhere. They may just not be able to come to my college. The other piece is I may have denied them initially, but you can always transfer to schools too. So I've seen that happen with students where it's like, okay, I wasn't initially ready to go, but I went to another school. Now I want to transfer in. That's always an option too. So it may be no for now, but it may not be a no forever. But it's tough. So just know people behind the scenes are human. We feel for you. We have these tough decisions that we have to make. It's really hard. I mean, I can read some applications and hear about people's life stories, and I am like, oh, it was a tough day. Because people have a lot of things that they deal with, and I definitely internalize some of that because I'm human, right? And have compassion. And so just know there are very real people that are behind the scenes and doing this process, and it's tough for us. It really is.
So
I have another.
Oh, go ahead.
Sure.
Okay, so my mom's an admissions advisor, and I didn't really get a chance to ask her this yet because I forgot, but now I remember. Do colleges really care about your backstory? I mean, I know you have like sympathy for others, but like, do they really care? I guess I should, yeah. Do they really care?
Yeah, absolutely. Because you know what, you're ultimately going to come and be in that campus community, right? And so, so we do care. And, if it's a large school, same thing. I mean, it may be a different process of review, but everybody in the end realizes that everybody that applies to our institutions are human beings that have life stories, and that we are going to have you add those stories to the classroom, right? And that's how people learn, and that enriches your overall academic experience. It'd be super boring if everybody was the same and everybody came from the same life. That'd be boring. We want people that are going to come and engage in our classroom, talk about those life experiences, take those life experiences with them as they're going into organizations or what have you. So yeah, we do want to know. We really do.
I may choose to ask the counselor or maybe the dean of students to connect with that student when they get on campus, because I want to provide as much support as I possibly can for that student, and not just have them come and they're just another number. So, as you're really choosing colleges, you want to make sure that you really get that sense when you engage with them. Are you just another number, or does it really seem like they're going to really care about your success and who you are? This is your experience. This is your learning experience. And to your other question about denying a student, we're not obligated to tell a student why they've been denied, but I will typically tell the admissions counselor if it's something I feel can be helpful to that student. I will let them know, hey, they need to just kind of work on their grades. Maybe they can try it out at, try doing this first, maybe try working in this area, and then reapply in a semester or after a year. So, we try to give them some guidance, but, you have to be careful because people are always so willing to sue you and all of that kind of stuff. But I mean, you want to make sure that you can get some kind of feedback if they can. But I just was kind of looking at the survey results, and you guys were saying, like, how do you select colleges, that kind of thing. But, make sure that as you're reading it, especially if you can interview with them, if you can engage with them anyway. I mean, how you feel when you engage with people. And if you get a sense, like, I don't know, I just kind of think maybe this isn't going to be the place, first impressions are everything. And if you meet with a college and they're not willing to really roll out the red carpet, they're not engaging, they're not friendly towards you and your family, first impressions are everything. And if you're not putting your best foot forward when you first meet someone, how are you going to treat them otherwise? So just one person's opinion.
No, that's a really good point. Any final questions? And then I'll turn it back over to Sir Seneca.
I think I have
a-
another one.
w-
Oh, wait. You guys can go first because I already, yeah.
Okay, sorry. Mine's really quick. So I just want to know if like your major affects your application. Like I know it does, but let's say your original major is like media design or something, and then you're like, no, I want to be a surgeon. Like clearly those are like two different things. And so I'm wondering like how much does your major affect your application, if that makes sense?
Sure, yeah. So if you're applying to a specific school, so like you're applying to a college of business or a school of nursing or a conservatory of music, then that's a very specific thing that you're applying for, right? But if you're applying to a college in general and you put down a particular major, or you're applying to a liberal arts program, it is, and sort of Lorraine, you may want to jump into with a business school, but basically, if you're just applying in general, we realize that people are going to change their majors.
Yeah.
A lot, right? People change their majors a whole lot. And so if it's a situation like that, that's not going to have a lot of weight. But if you're looking specifically at one of these schools, then that can carry weight. So it just depends upon what type of school or program you're applying to. So Lorraine, do you have anything else you want to add to that?
Yes, just to kind of add it, large institutions, you're applying to the university, but then each college at the university will sometimes have separate competitive application criteria. So if a student is interested in business, but not necessarily wants to commit to business, they could go to an area called exploration and kind of focus a little bit on that. They tell their advisors that they're interested in business. But what individual colleges will do, or to really make sure that your students are connecting to their area of interest. So it may not be your particular major, but okay, this student's interested in business, but let's really focus on their area of interest and then see if that major works out with them. So at larger institutions, you'll have your university admissions counselors, but then in each college, and this is where the touch points can come in, each college will have their own admissions and recruitment teams. So it's a two-layer piece that you want to get connected with. You want to get connected with university admissions and the individual college recruitment teams too.
Okay, thank you.
Every faculty member, every program, they think they're the best. So it's not that as an admissions committee, we want the student to come and be successful and graduate. But if you apply and you want to go into liberal arts, they think they're the best. If you change your mind, you want to go to the sciences, they think they're the best. So the admissions team is not really there to make that kind of a decision. What I will say is if you get into a program, and I changed my major after my freshman year, but if you get into a program, don't wait too long, because now you're getting to, an issue of your credits transferring to another program. And you also want to be mindful if you receive like a specific scholarship that may be for that major and you change majors, it may not follow you unless it's like a general university or college scholarship. So if you go into, let's say, pre-med, and you have a scholarship that's specifically for a pre-med student, and then you change and you go into political science, that scholarship more than likely is not going to follow you because it's specific to pre-med. So you just want to be mindful of that. But overall, every faculty member, every program thinks they're the best. So that's not really an issue.
Was there one more question and I'll turn it over to Seneca? Or did we get it all?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Go ahead.
I wrote it down. So what is like the major thing that stands out
when we're looking at an application?
Yep, like the most, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think no matter what college it is, we're looking at your academics. I mean, first and foremost, like, can you handle it? Because you can be fantastic and awesome, but you're rocking like a 1.5, and what are you doing? So it's got to happen in the classroom first and foremost. Then everything else, it's like a layered approach, right? It's icing on the cake. It's, can this student write well? Did they tell us more about who they are? Like all of those things. But first and foremost, because it's academics, because you don't want to go to a college you're not prepared academically, you have to leave after a semester. That doesn't do anyone any good. So first and foremost, no matter what college you're looking at, that's a top priority. And then everything else should enhance that piece, right? Everything else should add to the strength you're bringing in academics. You got some leadership, you got some community, you know, like all of those things are layered. Now, with test scores, you could be somebody who is an amazing test taker and you've got like a 1400 SAT, but you've not done well in the classroom. Like, that's not okay, because clearly you're not working to your potential. So like, there's a lot of things that we're looking at, but ultimately it's that academic piece.
I don't expect for students to come in and know everything. So I hope you don't take that away from our discussion. What I look for is, do they appear to have the discipline that it's gonna take to get through these next 4 years? Because that's ultimately what it's gonna be. I mean, you've never gone through these classes before, you've never experienced this before. So will you have, or do you demonstrate that you have the discipline to hang in there, even if it gets tough, to keep fighting, you know, and so that's kind of, you know, for me, that's what I want to see. I'm going to look at the grades, and yeah, that's going to make a difference, because then it does get into things like, can you keep your financial aid and all that? But I want to see someone, even if life threw everything at them, parents got divorced, they lost their jobs, or whatever the case may be, they still hung in there. You know, even if their grades slipped a little bit, maybe instead of an A average, they got a B average. You took everything that life threw at you and you still committed yourself to everything that you were engaged with. That's what I look for, because that's real life. You know, so don't be too overwhelmed by it. Do your best, you know, take advantage of all of the resources around you, but do your best. And the main thing is that you continue to plan to pursue your education beyond high school. That's the main thing.
Exactly. I'm going to turn it over to Seneca at this point to wrap us up.
All right. Well, ladies, thank you so much for having us. I hope that you were able to gain something from the presentation. It sounds like with the discussion and the comments you did. I wanted to just give you a couple of announcements of things that are coming up. We are taking a look at your survey results so that it will help to inform what kind of workshops you have an interest in. But coming up in February, we heard some questions around how to navigate the college search during a pandemic, and that is our topic. How do you navigate this college search during a pandemic? And that will be on Tuesday, February the 23rd. So we will get the flyer to your advisors. And then in March, we will have something, a workshop called What to Expect Next once you are admitted to college. And so the seniors here on the line, I would definitely say join us on that evening. It's on Tuesday, March 16th. And our workshops are usually from 6:30 to 8. And so I know it's long days on Zoom and a lot, but if you can join us on those days, it will definitely be an opportunity just like this for you to ask real questions, to be able to get some things answered, to learn some things. And so again, it's open to 9th through 12th grade. So it's not just for 11th and 12th grade, but if you are in 11th and 12th grade, you are a lot closer to that mark than our 9th and 10th graders. So we hope that you will join us. And then really quick, I'm going to switch from #CAP and put on my scholarship hat. We will have scholarships for the seniors on the line that will come out. We have 19 available, and there are different criteria. So be on the lookout for that information, because that application will go live in February. So with that, again, we'll give you 5 minutes of your life back, but thank you so much for letting us join you today. And again, if you have questions, you can always ask for that information, or ask us, or get our information afterwards. And reach out to us. Thanks.
Yay.
Can we clap?
Yes. Let's give it up for our #CAP coming
Yeah.
in. Thank you.
Before the #CAP advisors and swords get off the call, we truly thank you for bringing your expertise. And I think that the activities is definitely one